In this video, let us start a new concept which occurs as a 5th A group elements of class 12. 5th A group elements, 15th group elements, and this is also we call it as nicogens. Nicogens, and their compounds we call it as the compounds of 5th A group elements we call it as peptides. The elements of 5th A group elements we call it as nicogens. And their compounds we call it as peptides because of their what is the reason why we are calling them as nicogens and their compounds called peptides? Because of their pungent smell. Most of the compounds of these 5th A group elements are pungent in nature, nose burning nature. Because of them we are calling them as nicogens and peptides. Okay. Next, as you know, in these group members, the differentiating electron, the last coming electron, enters into valency p subshell. P subshell, because of entry into valency p subshell, okay, we are including in p block. 5th A group elements are coming under p block element. Coming to the what are the elements comes under this? Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. And in addition to the bismuth, in addition to the 5 elements, they have introduced a new element, that is what? MC. MC is nothing but moscovium. Moscovium is a newly introduced element now. Okay, synthetic or artificial radioactive element, and whose atomic number is 115, and its atomic mass is 279. It is a radioactive element. Next, coming to the nitrogen, for first 2 elements are what? The first 2 elements are non-metals. The first 2 elements are non-metals. Next 2 elements are metalloids, and the last element is metal. This is the nature of these elements. That means when you go from top to bottom, what happened? The non-metallic nature. The non-metallic nature decreases, whereas metallic nature increases. And this moscovium is a newly introduced element. It's present in which period? 7th period. So its general electronic expected configuration of this one is 7s2, 7p3. Why? Because it belongs to 7th period. Overall, all these elements, the general electronic configuration is what? ns2, np3. ns2, np3. And if you see this general electronic configuration, this is a half-filled stable configuration. That means these 5th A group elements are having extra stability. They are extra stable. What is the reason behind that? Why they are extra stable? Due to stable half-filled configuration. Okay, that is why this 5th A group elements we call it as pseudo inert gases. Pseudo inert gas. Not all these elements. Whatever the elements which are gas, out of all, first element is only the gas. Remaining all are solid. That is the nitrogen. What is the other name of nitrogen? Pseudo inert gas. Because of its inertness. That inertness because of more stability. That's more stability is because of half-filled configuration. That is why nitrogen is called what? Pseudo inert gas. Okay, so this is about the general introduction. One more thing. Abundance, if you see, occurrence. So abundance or occurrence. Among these all, phosphorus is a more abundant element. Phosphorus. So as you know, phosphorus is the 11th most abundant element in earth crust. In earth crust, this is the 11th most abundant element. So when we check the abundances of all these elements, phosphorus is the highest, next nitrogen, remaining is decreases. Arsenic, antimony and bismuth. This is what order of their occurrence or abundance. And after that, except phosphorus, remaining all 58 group elements can exist in the free state. That is a so except phosphorus, rest all remaining all can exist in free state. Okay, they can exist in the free state, not only in the combined state, they can exist as a free state except the phosphorus. That means phosphorus always will exist in combined form only. Suppose if you take the nitrogen, what are the main nitrogen free state it can exist in addition to the combined form? Mainly it is present in the form of nitrites form. Nitrites form means two forms, NaNO2 and KNO2, sodium nitrite and potassium nitrite. What is the names of this sodium nitrite and potassium nitrite? No? Sodium nitrite we called as what? Chili saltpeter. And KNO2 we called as Indian saltpeter. Chili saltpeter and Indian saltpeter. These are the common names of nitrite salts. Next, coming to the phosphorus, if you take phosphorus, I told you already most of the except the phosphorus remaining molecule can exist in free state, but phosphorus never will. It will be existing mainly in phosphate form. Especially this phosphate form in apatite form. Okay, apatites. In the phosphate form in apatites. What are apatites? Apatites are nothing but Ca3PO4 twice calcium phosphate CaX2, where X is nothing but fluorine, chlorine, hydrox, any one of this. So for example, in the place of X, if fluorine if you take, fluorapatite, chlorine, chloropatite, OH, hydroxide. So this is the general formula of apatites. Okay, so this hydroxyapatite and fluorapatites, as we know, on the surface of our enamel. Okay, that the hardness of our tooth is because of the what? Apatites only. Okay, so this is the phosphorus and the abundance. Next, let us move to the general periodic properties. Periodic properties of 58 group elements. In that, the first one is atomic size or atomic radius. If you take the atomic size or atomic radius, all 58 groups, they follow a regular trend only. From top to bottom, the size increases. No doubt, without any exception. From top to bottom, that atomic size increases. But remember one change, that is from nitrogen to phosphorus. When you go from nitrogen to phosphorus, there was a sudden jump in atomic size. Okay, that is that point. Why? Because nitrogen have no d orbital, but phosphorus having presence of d orbital. Because of presence of extra orbitals, there was a sudden jump in sizes from nitrogen to phosphorus. That point you remember. Next one, ionization enthalpy, ionization energy. As like general trend here also, from top to bottom, ionization energy decreases. Why? Because ionization energy and atomic size both are inversely proportional, so it will decreases. Okay, there was no any exceptional cases. But one point you remember, the ionization energy IE1 of 58 group elements is greater than ionization energy of 68 group elements. What is the reason? Why? Because 58 group elements are having high stability, extra stability because of half filled configuration. To remove the electron from that extra stable configuration, they need more energy. Whereas 68 group elements, they have NH2NP4. We can easily remove the electron, but after removing the electron, they are getting stability. That is why they are supposed to release the electron. So first ionization energy of 60 is always be lesser than 58 group elements. That point you remember. This is a general point only. Next, after the ionization energy, let us move to the electronegativity. In the group from top to bottom, what is the regular trend? In the group, when you go from top to bottom, electronegativity drastically decreases. But one point remember that when you compare nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth, decreases only, but in NCERT textbook they given antimony and bismuth, they both are having almost equal electronegativity they given. Okay, that is they both are equal, that is 1.9 and 1.9 they given. Okay, that point remember. Suppose in the options they given nitrogen, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Okay, they given, so definitely you opt for bismuth only. Why? Because in the group when you go from top to bottom, electron decreases, but in the values in NCERT they given equal values. From that we are giving like this. Okay, that is only the exception. Let us move to the next periodic property, that is what? Electron affinity. Electron affinity. As we know, what is the regular trend in group from top to bottom? What happened? The electron affinity decreases. Electron affinity decreases. That's a regular trend. But here there was an exception. With an exception here. What is the exceptional case here? So this is a regular exception only. When you compare the second period element, that means when you compare 2p elements with 3p. Okay, so as we know, the addition of electron 2p is very difficult compared to the 3p. If addition of electron to the 2p is difficult, then the amount of energy released is lesser. That is why 2p having lesser electron affinity than 3p. That's the logic. So accordingly, the third period element. What is the third period element of this nitrogen family? Phosphorus. So phosphorus is exceptionally having more electron affinity than nitrogen. Okay, phosphorus is greater than nitrogen. And one more thing, nitrogen, this is okay. And sixth group elements, if you check oxygen and sulfur, sulfur is having more electron affinity than oxygen. Like that. It is applicable for not only fifth group elements, and it is also applicable for 60 and 70. But remember, all three groups electron affinities here itself I am giving you so that it's easy to remember. When you see that nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth, okay, when you see that regular order, this is a regular order. Coming to the oxygen family, oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium, and fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Okay. Just remember like this. Just see that. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. See that this is the regular expected orders of electron affinities, right? But what happened? The nitrogen electron affinity is lesser than phosphorus. Okay, fine. But what is the position of nitrogen in the series? Remember that both nitrogen and oxygen, both are having least out of all. Okay. Nitrogen and oxygen, they both are having the least out of all group members. But fluorine electron affinity lesser than chlorine, no doubt. But when you compare the fluorine electron affinity with the other bromine and iodine, fluorine will come here. Fluorine, bromine, iodine. So that is the one point you should remember. Here fluorine will come here, whereas nitrogen and oxygen comes from there. So this is what electron affinity order of 5th, 6th, 7th group elements. Okay, so this is about the fourth property. Next, let us move to the fifth property. Fifth property. What about the fifth property? Coming to the fifth property, after electron affinity density, let us discuss. What is the regular trend? Here it is following the regular trend from top to bottom, density increases. It's a regular trend only in a group. When you go from top to bottom, density increases because of increasing their weights. Okay. Next, boiling points, let us see first. If you see the melting points here, there was a cap-like arrangement. That means first it will increases up to arsenic, thereafter decreases. Okay, it's like hill, upward, downward. Okay, so first nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic. Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic. Next, antimony, bismuth. Antimony and bismuth. Here means don't write equal lengths. Okay, it's like this. See, when you arrange them, okay, first of all it increases up to arsenic, thereafter decreases. So order will be nitrogen less than phosphorus, after phosphorus bismuthine less than antimony, and finally arsenic. Arsenic is exceptionally having higher melting point than the remaining all because of crystal structures, difference in their crystal structure. They are showing this irregular order. Next one, boiling point. If you see boiling point, when you go from top to bottom, increases without any exceptions. Okay, from top to bottom, boiling points will increases. But one point you should remember, when you go from nitrogen to phosphorus, there was a drastic increase in the boiling points. What is the reason? If you see that nitrogen is a diatomic gas and phosphorus is a tetraatomic solid. This is a gas and this is a solid. To melt the solid, definitely they need more amount of energy. So because of that, it's a gas and it's a solid. Because of it's a solid, to melt this solid they need more amount of energy. That is when you go from nitrogen to phosphorus, okay, there was a sudden jump in their boiling points. Okay, so this is about the melting and boiling points. After the melting boiling points, let us discuss their oxidation states. Oxidation states. So as we know, if you see that nitrogen can show -3 oxidation state. Why? Because the general electronic configuration is what? Ns2, Np3, 5 electrons in the valence shell. If they get 3 more electrons, they get octet configuration. That is why nitrogen shows -3 and they can release these 3 electrons +3 and all 5 electrons +5. -3 +3 +5. Whereas phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, they shows +3 and +5. Whereas the last element, the bismuthine, can show only +3. That means when you go from top to bottom, what happened? The -3 tendency, the tendency of showing -3. The first element only can show, remaining all elements cannot show. What is the reason? What is the reason? Minus tendency, the negative tendency shown by only non-metals. Okay, only the first 2 elements only non-metals. So nitrogen, phosphorus, but phosphorus never shows, will not show usually. So -3 tendency decreases. This is a general reason, common sense. So -3 tendency decreases because of due to decreasing non-metallic nature. Due to decreasing the non-metallic nature, what happens? The -3 tendency decreases. Then what about the tendency of +5 oxidation state? The +5 oxidation state decreases and the +3 oxidation state increases. Now tell me, it is due to, already we discussed in the previous 13th group and 14th group. This is because of what? Inert pair effect. Inert pair effect is nothing but the reluctancy of participation of s orbital electrons in the bonding formation. It is called what? Inert pair effect. Because of that, by going from top to bottom, +3 stability increases, +5 stability means lower oxidation state stability increase, higher oxidation state stability decreases. That is what we call it as inert pair effect. So what is the most stable oxidation state of bismuthine? Bismuthine most stable oxidation state is +3, not +5. Okay, it will not show the +5 oxidation. Only one compound, bismuthine, can show +5 oxidation state, that is a BiF5. This is only the compound where bismuthine can show +5 oxidation state. Other than this, there was no other compound. Okay, bismuthine pentafluoride. Okay, as we know, +3 is more stable, so +5, bismuthine +5 is happily converted into +3 by gaining electron, so it undergo reduction and it is acting as what? Oxidizing agent. So bismuthine +5 act as what? Oxidizing agent. Okay, why? Because plus 3 state is more stable. So this bismuthine plus 5 state is happily gains electrons and undergo reduction and converting into plus 3. The species which is undergoing reduction what we call oxidizing agent. So it acts as a strong oxidizing agent. Okay, clear? So this is about the oxidation states of 50A group elements. And after this oxidation states, let us move to the next one. That is what atomic covalency. If you see covalence, yes, tell me what is the maximum covalency of nitrogen? Maximum is a 4. It cannot exceed 4. Ammonium ion, if you take NH4 plus, maximum nitrogen can show 4. 4 bonds we can involve. Why not 5? Why not 6? Why? Because no d orbital electrons. So because of no vacant d orbitals, the maximum covalency of nitrogen is 4, whereas the phosphorus and remaining elements, the maximum covalency is greater than 4. Okay, greater than 4 because there was an availability of d orbitals. That is the covalency. And next one, atomicity. If you take atomicity, I already told you nitrogen is a diatomic species, whereas the remaining all elements is phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuthine. Remaining all elements are octaatomic. Octaatomic means 8 atoms. Phosphorus is tetraatomic. Tetraatomic. Polyatomic you write. Okay, polyatomic. Nitrogen is a diatomic, whereas remaining elements are what? Polyatomic. And the next one, bond strength, reactivity. If you see reactivity, so as we know, nitrogen, okay, it is a configuration is what? NH2 and P3. 5 valence electrons are there. To get the stability, how many electrons they need? 3 more electrons. To get the 3 electrons, what happened? Both nitrogen atoms can share 3 and they form triple bond between them. N triple bond N formation takes place. And one more thing, to form the triple bond, how many sigma pi bonds will form? During the formation of triple bond, 1 sigma, 2 pi bonds. And here nitrogen belongs to secondary period. All secondary period elements can easily form what? Pi bonds. So there was an easy formation of pi bonds. They can involving in pi bonding formation and they form triple bond. But what about the phosphorus? Is phosphorus also will form the triple bond with the other phosphorus atom? No. What is the reason? Phosphorus belongs to third period. Third period elements are not involving in pi bonding formation. They can involve only in what? Sigma bonding. But they need 3 electrons, no? Then how they form? So instead of forming 1 sigma 2 pi bond, they form all 3 sigma bonds. That is why the structure of phosphorus is like this. In this structure, you just see that how many bonds are there? 1, 2, 3. Every phosphorus is involving in 3 bonds. So all 3 sigma bonds. That is why nitrogen is in triple bond. Here we can write, but phosphorus is what? P4. That is a tetrahedral form. You will write. Okay, and when you compare this bond order, what is the bond order here? 3. So here in case of nitrogen, bond order is 3. So if bond order is more, bond strength is higher. So bond energy is very high. Approximately 9-12 around kilojoules will be there. Because of high bond energy, okay, nitrogen is what? Inert. They cannot react easily. Whereas in case of phosphorus, their bond order is lesser. Okay, their bond strength, when you compare with the nitrogen, their bond strength is weaker, so they can be more reactive. Okay, so this is the reactivity. But remember one point here, N triple bond N is stronger than P4, no doubt. But when you compare the single bond strengths of nitrogen, phosphorus, remember that phosphorus single bond strength is greater than nitrogen single bond strength. This point you should remember. You may get that out. Why? Why? Because just compare the sizes. So this is what small sized atoms. But nitrogen having a lone pair. Okay, how many lone pairs are there in nitrogen? 3 lone pairs. Okay, here 3 lone pairs. Whereas phosphorus, bigger sized atoms. So here also 3 lone pairs are there. Okay, tell me, among these, which in between which molecule the repulsions are more? Generally this one, small side. Because of small side there was a larger lone pair repulsions are there. Because of larger lone pair repulsion, this bond is weak, so we can easily break. So what is the reason why pp single bond strength is greater than n single bond strength? Because in pp single bond, okay, there was a large size. Because of larger size of the phosphorus atoms, there was a lesser the lone pair of electrons were going far away from each other, so there was a less lone pair repulsions in case of pp. Clear? So this is about the nitrogen phosphorus single bond strength, and because of this phosphorus more single bond strength, phosphorus is having high catenation ability compared to nitrogen. So what is a catenation? You may get that out again. Catenation is nothing but the tendency of making longer chains. And when you compare the nitrogen and phosphorus single bond strength is greater, so catenation ability of phosphorus is not definitely greater than the other. So after anyhow 14th to 15th, when you compare, 14th group elements are definitely having high catenation ability because CC bond strength is more. So after 14th group, in 15th group elements, which is having highest catenation ability, phosphorus. So pp greater than nitrogen greater than remaining all elements. So this is the order of their catenation ability. So the 50th group elements, all elements can show the allotropic behavior except first element, that is what? Nitrogen. Except nitrogen, remaining all can show allotrope. Why? What is the reason? Why? Because nitrogen is a gas. How the gases can show the allotropic behavior? But remember that if the nitrogen is in solid form, again it will show. So nitrogen in solid form can show allotropic behavior, and the nitrogen having two allotropic forms. One is alpha nitrogen and the second one is beta nitrogen. Remember that this is possible only in case of solid state. And alpha nitrogen is also we call it as a cubic crystalline form. Okay, cubic crystalline form. And beta nitrogen is what? Hexagonal crystalline form. Based upon the shape of the crystals, we are calling alpha nitrogen into cubic crystalline and the beta nitrogen as hexagonal crystalline form. So this is about the nitrogen. Next, moving to the phosphorus, allotropy of phosphorus. Phosphorus will show 5 types of allotropic forms. One is white phosphorus, red phosphorus, black phosphorus, scarlet phosphorus, violet phosphorus. Okay, total 5 different types of allotropic natures that phosphorus can show. Let us discuss this one by one. White phosphorus, if you take white phosphorus, usually phosphorus is a tetraatomic, that is why P4 we will write. If you take the white phosphorus appearance, if you see, white phosphorus is a translucent white waxy solid. That is why we are calling it white phosphorus, because of its appearance as colorless, a white color. So it's a translucent white waxy solid, and in gaseous form the vapors of this white phosphorus are poisonous. Okay, and next one, it is insoluble in water, because of and insoluble in water and soluble in carbon disulfide. So because of its insoluble in water, we will store these white phosphorus under water. We will store under this water. Generally, white phosphorus, the smell of this white phosphorus is garlic smell. The smell of this is garlic odor. Next, next one, reactivity. If you see, this is what white phosphorus is a highly reactive. Among all allotropic forms, white phosphorus is a highly reactive. What is the reason behind this? Because of its tetrahedral nature. Tetrahedral nature. Why? Because of tetrahedral nature, why it is reactive? If you see the structure, then you will get an idea. In tetrahedral nature, the 4 phosphorus atoms are at the 4 corners of the tetrahedron. 4 corners of the tetrahedron. And if you see the bond angle is 60 degrees. So because of this bond angle 60 degrees, there was a high bond angle strain. Okay, there was a large angle strain. Because of high bond angle strain, okay, so this is always trying to break it. Okay, that is why they are highly reactive. So white phosphorus is highly reactive because of its large angle strain, and because of its highly reactive, immediately when it is exposed to the air, it will react with the atmospheric oxygen and they forms P4O10, phosphorus pentoxide vapor it will releases. Okay, it's a highly reactive, immediately catches a fire. White phosphorus. Okay, so this is about the white phosphorus. Clear? Next, move to the red phosphorus. Red phosphorus is a polymeric P4 units it have. Polymeric P4 units, not like this one. This is a single monomeric one, but it's a polymeric. So polymeric means, see, like this you take. This is one. What it will do? It will break one bond, and that this is involving in bonding with the other. So like this, whatever bonded here is, it's just transmitted to the next. Like this, what happened? More than 3-4 monomeric units are polymerized and be in the form of polymer. That is what we call as red phosphorus. And how the red phosphorus we generate? See, simply by heating white phosphorus. So we generate this red phosphorus from white phosphorus only by heating to the temperature of 573 kelvins. If you heat this to the 573 kelvins, white phosphorus becomes what? Red phosphorus. And what about the appearance? As we in the name itself is a red in color, that is why we call it red phosphorus. And it is less reactive. What is the reason behind? So because it is a polymeric nature, polymers are usually less reactive, so they are less reactive compared to them, and also they are less soluble in both water and also carbon dioxide. It is insoluble, not less soluble, almost insoluble in water and as well as carbon dioxide. So this is about the red phosphorus. Clear? Then move to the third one and important one, that is what? Black phosphorus. Black phosphorus. Usually black phosphorus is of two types, alpha black and beta black. Two types of black phosphorus are there. Again, what is alpha black? Alpha black we will get it from red phosphorus. Alpha black is getting from red phosphorus. When red phosphorus heating to very high temperature and at very high pressure. So what is the temperature? The temperature is around 803 kelvins. Okay, when the red phosphorus is heated to the temperature of 803 kelvins and under high pressure conditions, red phosphorus gives alpha black. Alpha black. Next, if you take white phosphorus, white phosphorus is heated to the temperature of 473 kelvin. See, when the white phosphorus is heated to 573 kelvin, it becomes red phosphorus. The same white phosphorus is heated to 473 kelvin in the presence of pressure. Okay, then it becomes what? Beta black. Beta black. Generally, this black phosphorus, generally they are giving like layered-like structures, like graphite. Like in graphite, how the layered-like structures are there, even in black phosphorus also, phosphorus exists in the layered form. And because of its layered-like structure, it is acting a good electrical conductor. They act as a good electrical conductor. And one more thing, most important point about the black phosphorus, this is the most stable thermodynamical allotropic form. That means which among the following allotropes is thermodynamically most stable? So which allotrope is thermodynamically most stable? Black phosphorus. So it is thermodynamically most stable allotropic form. So these are the points you should remember about the allotropes of this phosphorus. Okay, no need of this scarlet and violet, just focus on these three. Okay, next chemical properties. Chemical reactions of the chemical properties of 50A group elements. In that first one, reaction with hydrogen. Reaction with hydrogen. So what are the points we will discuss under the chemical properties? First one, reaction with hydrogen. Next, reaction with oxygen. Next, reaction with halogens. And the third one, reaction with fourth one, reaction with metals. So these are the four properties we are going to discuss in this. So the first one, reaction with the hydrogen. It's a very important reaction. Let us, if we take these elements, element I am writing as E, 50A group elements. When these elements are reacting with hydrogen, they forms EH3 type of hydrides. EH3 type of hydrides. EH3 means here NH3, PH3, ASH3, SbH3 and BiH3. Okay, what are the names of this NH3? We know that ammonia, phosphine, arsine, stibine, bismuthine. So these are the names. Okay, coming to the basic strength, let us discuss this one by one. First of all, basic strength, if you see, what happens in the basic strength when you go from ammonia to bismuth? So when you go from ammonia to bismuthine, basic strength, here I am writing here, first thing, basic strength. Basic strength means what? What do you mean with the basic strength? The ability of donating lone pairs. Okay, lone pair donating tendency, simply. Lone pair donating tendency, we call it as what? Basic strength. Now tell me, among the ammonia and the bismuthine, ammonia, you take the central nitrogen atom, every central atom having a lone pair. Here, when you compare the ammonia and bismuthine, which is having large electron density. So because of small size of the central atom and the smaller size, lone pair, the same number of electrons are there. But here it's a bigger size, but the same number of electrons are there. So because of small size, the electron density over the nitrogen is greater compared to the remaining one. So if the electron density is more, then there is a tendency to release the electrons is more. That is why the basic strength from ammonia to bismuthine, what happened? Decreases. The basic strength decreases. What is the reason? Due to decreasing in electron density. Simple logic. Because of decreasing the electron density over the central atom, the basic strength decreases. Clear? Next, if you see the hybridizations. In ammonia, the central nitrogen is undergoing sp3 hybridization. Then, what is the hybridization of phosphorus and phosphine? So, in our book, sometimes they give an sp3 hybridization, sometimes they are not undergoing any hybridization. But in fact, as per the hybridization rule, the remaining all means phosphine, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuthine. So there was no hybridization. They are not involving in any hybridization. Only pure orbitals are only participating in the bonding. How can you confirm? I am just confirming this based upon their bond angles. See that sp3 hybridization, usual bond angle in case of sp3 is 109 degrees 28 minutes. But because of a lone pair there is some distraction, there is some reduction in their bond angle, so its bond angle is 107 degrees 5 minutes. Bond angle in case of ammonia is 107 degrees 5 minutes, very near to 109 degrees, that is why sp3 hybridization, confirm. What about the bond angles in case of phosphine, arsine and remaining gall? So in case of the remaining gall, if you take the phosphine, so that is 93 degrees, arsine is 92.5 and this is 91, 93, 92, 91 and this is 90. So almost equal, almost near to 90 degrees and they are decreasing only. Okay, so the bond angle decreasing from ammonia to bismuth. The second point here about bond angle decreases because of what pure orbitals only participate. And the next point you should remember about this one is what happened to the basic strength decreasing means what? Their complex forming tendency also decreases. Complex forming, when they can act as when they can easily form the complex, when they can easily donate the electrons. Okay, suppose their basic strength, the lone pair donating tendency is decreasing, automatically their complex forming tendency also will decreases. That's common. Next, come to the NH bond strength. See, when you compare this NH bond strength, this is NH bond strength, this is pH bond strength, and this is bismuthine bond strength. So, what happens? The bond length increasing. When if the length of the stick increases, that we can easily break. Simple logic. If the bond length increases, we can easily break it. That means bond strength decreases. If bond strength decreases, what happens? The stability decreases. So, from ammonia to bismuthine, what happens? The stability of them? Stability decreases. Stability decreases due to increasing bond length. Due to increasing bond length and decreasing bond strength. Decreasing bond strength. Because of these two reasons, the stability decreases. If their stability decreases, now tell me what happened to the reducing agent nature? Reducing nature. Reducing nature means the ability of releasing the hydrogen, tendency of releasing the protons, which can easily release the protons. Simple logic. Which can easily release the protons, H plus bismuthine. So what happens? The reducing agent nature increases. So the reducing nature increases from ammonia to bismuthine. Clear? Reducing nature increases. Why? Because bismuthine, because of larger bond length, we can easily break. Okay, if it is easily break means that it easily releases the H plus ion and it can act as a reducing nature. Okay, next one. And one more point you should remember, out of all these hydrides, ammonia is only the exothermic product, exothermic nature, whereas the remaining all are endothermic. Okay, so ammonia is exothermic in nature, whereas remaining all are what? Endothermic nature. That is one more difference you should know about the ammonia from the others. Next, move to the boiling and melting points. Boiling point and melting point. Here, I just give you this boiling point, melting point order with the 16th, 17th group elements comparatively, so that you can easily remember. So, boiling point order, if you see, actually ammonia, phosphine, arsine, antimony, bismuthine. Next, H2O, H2S, H2SE, H2TE, H2PO. Next, HF, HCl, HBr, HI. So what is the boiling point order? Boiling point order. So usually the boiling point increases down the book. It's a regular trend. Okay, so but here you just remember one point. NH3, H2O and HF. All these three are having ability of making H bonding. They have a special special ability, special character. So by using their special power, okay, they decided to cheat in the examination. Okay, how? All these three are friends. So all these three members are friends and they decided to cheat in the examination. So after that, HF, it successfully did. So HF is finally getting highest boiling point. And H2O is also success and it is also getting highest boiling point. But unfortunately, ammonia, it was a failed in cheating and it comes in the middle of them. Okay, so after that, ammonia felt a lot. So okay, his heart were melted and told to his remaining two friends, from hereafter I am not going to cheat in the examination. I wanted to prove myself. Okay, so that they melted. So that these two friends also accepted, okay, from hereafter onwards I am not going to cheat anymore. So they started examination again. And in the melting point order, okay, now ammonia was succeed. Okay, so finally the melting point order PH3, ASH3, SBH3 and bismuthine H3 and finally ammonia is having the topper of this class. Next, coming to the oxygen family, H2S, H2Se, H2Te, H2PO and H2O. Again, water also becoming the top in his class. Coming to the third group, the 17th group, HCl, HBr, HF, HI. So they both come and to check the HF, but unfortunately HF came in the second place. Of course, HF is happy here. Why? Because without cheating, he did an examination and he is in the second place in the classroom. So like this. See here, who is the meritorious student here? H2. Even the cheating and even after the cheating, H2 is a topper. Okay, here boiling point order, ammonia is becoming the middle of this and H2 is a topper and HF is a topper. But in the melting, ammonia and H2O, they both are the toppers, but HF is the second place. So like that you just remember. I think like this I remember, I feel very easy. So like this is about the reaction with the hydrogens. Next, move to the second one, reaction with the oxygen. Reaction with the oxygen. When these elements react with oxygen, they forms two types of oxides. One is E2O3 type and the second one is E2O5 type. E2O3 type and E2O5 type. So this is what trioxides and this is what pentoxides. When these trioxides on hydrolysis, we are getting us acids. Okay, when the trioxides on hydrolysis, which acids will come? Us acids will come. And when these pentoxides on hydrolysis, we get ic acids. Ic acids. Us acids, ic acids. And one more thing you should remember, when you compare the trioxides and trioxides, pentoxides are more acidic than trioxides. What is the reason? Why? Because in pentoxides, element is in +5 oxidation state, whereas here element is in +3 oxidation state. If there is some increase in the oxidation state, automatically the acidic power will increase. That is why pentoxides are more acidic. So this is acidic nature. Pentoxides are more acidic compared to the trioxides. And when you check trioxides, I am just comparing these oxides N2O3, P2O3 and AS2O3, SB2O3 and Bi2O3. When you compare the trioxides of these 50 group elements, first two oxides are what? Acidic. Tell me what is the reason? Why? Because these first two elements are non-metals. Oxides of non-metals are acidic. And the next two oxides are amphoteric. and photonic. What is the reason? These two are metalloids. And the last bismuthine oxide is what? Basic in nature. Basic in nature. So that is why the trioxides we call it as what? N-hydrides of us acids. Pentoxides we call it as what? N-hydride of ec acids. Okay, and one more thing, one more common point in these oxides you should remember. In both trioxides and the pentoxides, from top to bottom, when you go from top to bottom, the oxidizing nature tendency decreases. That point to remember. The oxidizing nature tendency decreases in both trioxides and pentoxides when you go from top to bottom. So this is about the oxides. Next, move to the third property, that is what? Reaction with halogens. When you check this, usually when these elements react with the halogens, they forms two types of halides. That is what? EX3 type and EX5 type. EX3 and EX5. EX3 is nothing but what? Trihalides. And EX5 are pentahalides. Trihalides and pentahalides. Here one point you should remember, pentahalides. Is this all elements of the 50th group elements can form the pentahalides? No. Okay, so nitrogen cannot form pentahalides. No doubt. What is the reason? You know that. Nitrogen, there was no maximum covalency of nitrogen is 4. But how it will form the 5 bonds? So that is why nitrogen cannot form the pentahalides. And one more thing, even in trihalides also, for example, NF3 only can exist. Remaining NCl3, NBr3, Ni3 do not exist. What is the reason here? So the reason is nitrogen is a smaller atom. How the larger atoms like chlorine, bromine, iodine can survive on its surface? So because of its small size, it can hold only 3 smaller fluorine atoms only. It cannot hold bigger atoms like chlorine, bromine and iodine. That is why NF3 only exists. Okay, so this is about the nitrogen halides. Coming to the, when you compare this NX3 and NX5, NX5 pentahalides are greater reducing power than NX3. Okay, so this is what? Reducing nature. Pentahalides are strong reducing agents than trihalides. Okay, so this is about the halides. In these halides, if you see the basic strength NF3, NCl3, NBr3 and Ni3. Just tell me what happened the basic strength when you go from NF3 to Ni3, what do you think? So here from NF3 to Ni3 basic strength increases. So this is what? Basic strength increases. You may get that out. What is the reason why? Why? Because fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. NF, here NF, here Ni. Fluorine has more electronegativity. If the fluorine has more electron, what it will do? Electronegativity means tendency of accepting the electrons. So it will withdraw the electron from the central nitrogen atom. With this, the density over the nitrogen atom decreases. So the basic strength decreases. Whereas in Ni3, Ni, iodine having less electronegativity. So the tendency of withdrawing the electron from central nitrogen atom is less. So the density is more. That is the reason. So this is the basic strength increases from NF3 to Ni3. And one more thing, when you go from NF3, PF3, ASH3, SB, SB, F3. When you compare these fluids of the same group, in this case, decreases. What is the reason? Why? Because nitrogen is a smaller atom, phosphorus is bigger, like the size increases, so the density decreases, automatically the basic strength decreases. Already we discussed there. Okay, so these are the 2 points you should remember without fail. Okay, don't be confused. Next, let us move to the fourth property, that is what? Reaction with metals. Reaction with metals like sodium, magnesium, zinc, iron, etc. For these metals, they can be react. when they react with these metals, highly reactive metals. Okay, this fifth A group elements. Okay, they forms the corresponding compounds like with nitrogen nitrides, with the phosphorus phosphates, with the arsenic arsenides, like this. They form the compounds will form, the corresponding compounds will form, and remember that in that corresponding compounds, these elements showing negative oxidation states. Negative oxidation states. For example, you take sodium. You take sodium reacts with the nitrogen. Suppose, okay, what they form? Nitrides they form. That is means Na3N. Where what is the oxidation state of nitrogen? -3. So they shows which oxidation state? -3 oxidation state. Then you may get a doubt. But -3 tendency decreases down the group. Then how the remaining elements will show? No doubt. They will show the -3 oxidation state. Why? Because these are highly reactive metals. When they combine with highly electropositive metals, then definitely they have a choice of minus tendency. Okay, so don't think that again -3 tendency decreases down the group, so they won't show the -3 tendency, so they will not form the compound. Don't think like that. The reactivity is the same.